The Indian national team has disappointed me once again, with them finishing dead last in their 2023 AFC Asian Cup group, getting a total of 0 wins, 0 draws, 0 goals, 0 points, and a -6 goal difference. This performance from India at the tournament has left me completely heartbroken. Now I know you're probably thinking, Nabuto, what did you genuinely expect from India? And the truth is, I honestly don't know, but something definitely better than this. I mean, come on. I'm definitely not the only India fan out there who went into this tournament with some expectations. Back at the AFC Asian Cup in 2019, when India arguably had a worse team, we performed way better. Remember in the very first group stage game, we smoked Thailand. Sunil Chhetri scored in the 27th minute and gave us a lead, but then Tirasal Dongda from Thailand equalized to end the half 1-1. But in the second half, we came out firing, something I've never really seen from India. Indian legend Sunil Chhetri scored in the 46th minute, Anirudh Thapa scored in the 68th minute, and Shesha Lapaklula scored in the 80th minute, giving us a huge win of 4-1 against Thailand. Now I know Thailand aren't world beaters, but still bruh, I thought after this win, the tides were changing for Indian football. And yes, I know the AFC Asian Cup in 2019 didn't go to plan for us after this, because we did lose to the United Arab Emirates 2-0 and then lost 1-0 to Bahrain thanks to a last minute penalty from Jamal Rashid to knock us out of the Asian Cup barely. And yeah, Thailand somehow made it through after we slapped them silly, but regardless, the point is, the AFC Asian Cup in 2019 gave me hope that India was progressing in the right direction, and I thought in the next Asian Cup we were definitely gonna cook. And also, since that 2019 Asian Cup, India has been doing pretty decent in football. In the past 2 years alone, India have made some incredible strides in their national team. In the AFC Asian Cup 2023 qualification, India ended up beating Cambodia 2-0, then ending up going away to Afghanistan and beat them 2-1, and then also beat Hong Kong 4-0 in the last third round qualification game to top the qualifying group. And by the way, Hong Kong were in the AFC Asian Cup too. So it just shows that India still has the ability to smack down opponents operating on a similar level to them. But that's not it though. I'm not finished.
I'm not finished.
In the Intercontinental Cup, which is a 4-nation football tournament organized by the All India Football Federation, India ended up beating Mongolia 2-0, then Vanuatu 1-0, drew to Lebanon 0-0, and then faced against Lebanon again in the finals and this time beat them 2-0, making us win our second ever Intercontinental Cup. Now I know what you might be saying, bro, this tournament is literally hosted by the Indian Football Federation to make us look better. But listen bro, you can only play the opponents that are given to you, right? But not only this though, India also went crazy in the SAFF Championship. First, we had to play against our ops politically, Pakistan, and we smacked them alive 4-0. And of course, the Indian GOAT once again, Sunil Chhetri, someone who we're still relying on even though this dude is almost 40 years old, scored a hat-trick. Then against Nepal, our neighbors to the north, we beat them 2-0, and then we drew 1-1 against Kuwait in the last group stage game, all thanks to a last-minute own goal by Anisa Anwar Ali. This bad mistake ended up costing us, and we finished second in Group A, only because we scored one less goal compared to Kuwait. But this didn't matter in the end, because when we had to play Lebanon in the semifinals, someone who we also faced in the Intercontinental Cup that I just talked about, we beat them 4-2 on penalties. And then in the final against Kuwait, we went 1-0 down, came back to draw 1-1, and then ended up winning on penalties 5-4, making India the champions of the 2023 SAFF Championship, giving India their 9th South Asian Championship in their history. Oh, and you thought I was finished?
I'm not finished.
No, I'm not. I'm still not done, because India are performing well in the World Cup qualifier so far. In the first game, we went away to Kuwait and beat them 1-0, giving us a crucial 3 points. And yes, I know, we got battered at home by Qatar 3-0, but listen, Qatar are miles ahead of us in football. We already been knew this. But with us still having to play Afghanistan twice and Kuwait at home, there's a very good chance that we can make it to the 2026 World Cup qualifying third round. So as you can see, just from the Indian football team recently, we were looking pretty good heading into the 2023 Asian Cup. And yes, I'm aware, our draw was extremely unlucky. I mean, we got grouped up with Australia, who made the World Cup round 16 after being in a group with France, Denmark, and Tunisia, and even giving the later World Cup champions Argentina a run for their money in the round 16, and only barely lost to them 2-1. And then we also got Uzbekistan, who are one of the best upcoming Asian countries, with them having some good results recently, like drawing against Mexico in the US 3-3, and beating Vietnam 2-0 as 2 of the many examples. And they also have some pretty good players, like that super talent Eldor Shomurdov, a Romo player currently on loan with Cagliari, even though he isn't at the Asian Cup because of injuries. And then we also got Syria in our group, which isn't bad because I would say India is on a similar level to them, but still I understand that we got a pretty difficult group. But we're the Blue Tigers, man. Surely we could get an upset here or there, or something, or honestly anything. But then when the Asian Cup finally arrived and we had to play Australia first, I knew we were about to get cooked in this game. But even though I was thinking that we were gonna lose like 4-0 or 5-0 or something, we actually kept the game 0-0 for the entirety of the first half. And dare I say it, we might have had the best chance of the first half, with Sunil Chhetri almost bagging a goal from a diving header. But then reality struck in.
Reality can be whatever I want.
and the Indian goalkeeper Gurpreet Singh Sandhu makes a mistake and Jackson Irvine capitalizes on it and scores for Australia in the 50th minute. Then from here on, we had no chance of coming back, and Jordan Boss finishes off in the 73rd minute, making sure India loses to Australia 2-0. And I know India lost, but honestly, I was feeling kind of hopeful after this game. I mean, look, it's Australia, one of the tournament favorites and one out of the 3 Asian countries to make the 2022 World Cup knockout rounds, and we only lost 2-0. I was beginning to think that maybe India could actually pull something special off at this tournament, but oh boy, I thought wrong, because in the second game against Uzbekistan, we got absolutely cream pied from the very start of the game.
What do you mean by that?
In fact, in just the 4th minute, India's defensive incompetence costed us, and Uzbekistan's Abozbek Faizulev scored a header against us to give Uzbekistan the lead. But it doesn't just stop there, because 14 minutes later, Uzbekistan would double their lead in the 18th minute thanks to Igor Sergeyev. India's defense was clearly struggling all over the place, and Uzbekistan would capitalize on this once more, thanks to a first half additional time goal from Sherzad Nazrullah. So heading into the locker room in the first half, India were down 3-0, and this would end up staying the result by the full time the 90 minutes were up, meaning that India just lost 2 games in a row, and we had a pretty low chance of making it through to the round 16. But all hope wasn't lost yet, because if we beat Syria, there was a very small chance that we could make it through to the knockout rounds as one of the best 3rd place teams. But obviously, India couldn't make that happen, and Syria's Omar Kibin scored in the 76th minute to beat India 1-0, and instead, Syria are going through to the round 16 probably, while India are going home from the Asian Cup after having a total of 0 wins, 0 draws, 0 goals, 0 points, and a -6 goal difference. This left me speechless and heartbroken. I have no idea what to say.
I'm out of words. I don't know what to say, man.
So, where do we go from here? Although yes, it's true that Indian football has improved a good amount in the past few years. Like for example, the Indian Super League was founded in late 2014, meaning the league was created pretty recently, and I'm sure Indian football will reap the benefits from this soon, more than we have already. Additionally, there are places in India where football is competing with the viewership of cricket. Like in Kerala, football is definitely bigger than cricket, and the Kerala Blasters have over an average of 30,000 people a game. Plus, Kerala Blasters alone have more than 3.7 million followers on Instagram. That's literally more than the entire USMNT Instagram account, to put it into perspective. So stuff like this, like making a new league in India and regions in the country where football is becoming their biggest sport, will only contribute to the growth of football in India. Also, the fact that India has gone from 154th in the FIFA rankings in 2013 to 102nd now is a huge improvement, with even the legendary Arsene Wenger coming out and saying that Indian football is a gold mine that needs to be tapped into, and also that the AIFF, the Indian Football Federation, made the Vision 2047 plan, where they aim to implement grassroots programs to reach 35 million children in India, provide football education to 25 million children, etc. And all of this will hopefully help India eventually qualify for a World Cup before 2047. All of these things that I just mentioned will definitely help India grow in the sport and try to become a proper footballing nation. But what can we do starting right now that will help the Indian national team become better as soon as possible? Because let's be real, a country that contains a total population of 1.4 billion people, we seriously need to be better than this at football. Come on. Well, why is India not looking at dual nationals? Players who are ethnically Indian but aren't born and raised in the country of India, like myself. I mean, I'm not a footballer, but I meant people like myself, because there's some pretty good dual national players out there that I'm sure wouldn't mind lacing up their boots to represent India. One of them being Dylan Markande. He's an ethnically Indian man born in Badnath, England, and developed his footballing ability in the Tottenham Academy, even making his professional debut for them in the Conference League game against Vitesse, becoming the first British Asian as well as the first player of Indian descent to appear for Tottenham in a competitive match. Nowadays though, he plays for Blackburn Rovers in the EFL Championship and has 3 goals in 18 games for them. Yes, I know, this isn't screaming future world-class player, because if he was, he would choose to represent England, but come on, he's definitely better than any single Indian football player right now, except maybe the 39-year-old Sunil Chhetri. But even the Indian GOAT himself couldn't cut it out in Europe, because Chhetri signed a 3-year contract for Sporting over in Portugal, but the coach back in 2012 told Chhetri that he wasn't good enough and relegated him to the B team, and 9 months after, Chhetri left the Portuguese club. So with all the difficulties going on with the Indian players trying to get into Europe, Dylan Markande is already at that level, with him being a consistent player for a club in Europe, even though it's a championship, but I'm still sure he would be a great asset for India. Not only that though, we have a player who has publicly come out before and said that he would love to represent India, and his name is Jan Danda. He was born in Birmingham in the UK and spent 5 years developing his footballing ability at Liverpool. Liverpool fam, one of the best clubs in Europe and my team, duh. After that though, he played for Swansea City for a few years in the championship and had a decent run with them until he went to Ross County over in the Scottish Premiership, where he's been balling out, getting 6 goals and 10 assists in 37 games in the 22-23 campaign, and in the 23-24 campaign, he has 2 goals and 4 assists in 24 games so far. So clearly, Yan Danda is a pretty good player, and honestly, he would be India's best player if he could play for us. And he wants to play for India too, and has come out multiple times to the public to say he wants to represent India, and even has the legendary Rio Ferdinand backing him up to do so as well. So what's the holdup? Why are these players with Indian origin that would easily elevate the level of Indian football not representing the Indian national team? Well, that's because the Indian government for some reason barred the overseas citizens of India, also known as the OCI, and the persons of Indian origin, also known as the PIO, from representing India internationally since 2008, and dual citizenship hasn't existed in India since 1955. Now, not allowing dual citizenship isn't really that uncommon. There are a few countries around the world that do that, but the fact that India isn't allowing players that can obtain an OCI or a PIO to represent India is absolutely mind-blowing. This only adds on to my disappointment for the Indian national team. Honestly, India are shooting themselves in the foot here. Nobody in their right mind is giving up their American passport, or British passport in this instance, for an Indian one just to represent the Indian national team. It's just not possible. Nobody is doing that, respectfully. Even Yan Danda came out and mentioned that, and the only way he'll represent India is if the government changes their mind regarding football and allowing OCI cards to allow footballers to represent India. Keep in mind that most countries in the world allow players from different places to represent them. Hell, even the Moroccan national team that made it to the 2022 World Cup semifinal had almost all their key players born elsewhere, representing the country of their origins. Hakimi was born in Spain, Ziyech was born in the Netherlands, Buffon was born in France, Amrabat was born in the Netherlands, etc. Yet, these guys still represented Morocco and helped them create history. Hell, even the Iraqi team that beat Japan in stunning fashion in the Asian Cup has 11 of their players born and raised outside of Iraq, like Zidane Iqbal, their future star player. But the Indian government for some reason doesn't want to see anything similar happen for Indian football. Are they stupid? The coach of India's national team, Igor Stimac, who has done great things for this national team, has come out and said that he's not sure that any other national team out there in the world, apart from India, that doesn't allow players of their origin to represent their country. And this is a huge handicap for them, since Indian origin players are playing in Europe, and this would help the Indian national team. Apparently, the Indian Football Federation is trying to look at possibilities for how they can work around this law and get Indian origin players to represent India. But because of the Indian government, who knows whether there will be a breakthrough or not. But let me tell you, all this Vision 2047 plan stuff is great, and I hope it eventually works out. But if you want something that can help Indian football out right now, and maybe even secure us a spot at the 2026 World Cup, allowing Indian origin players, aka dual nationals, to represent India is the way forward. And maybe if we start allowing this to happen, we won't have another disappointing Asian Cup. Because just thinking about how we performed at this recent 2023 edition, wow, it just makes me cry every single time I think about it. So disappointing. Anyways, what are your guys' thoughts on the Indian national team and how we can improve in the future? Let me know down in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. And please be sure to follow my Twitter and my Instagram. The links are in my YouTube description. And last but not least, if you want to learn more about one of the most important players for Liverpool this season, Wataru Endo, you definitely want to check out this video right here. You won't regret it.